Hey everybody, it's Chris, and I am back to do another project with you. This is kind of a special project, and I will tell you that when I initially poured this album, it was not going to be for this purpose. But since I poured that album and kind of had plans to do something else with it, I've hit 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I wanted to make this as a prize for a giveaway on YouTube. First of all, I want to say that I am so grateful to all of you that watch my videos. I love seeing your comments. I love to see where you're from as well. I've mentioned that before, but it just kind of blows my mind that I have people from all over the world that watch my videos. So I wanted to let you know that I really, truly appreciate all of your support and all of your comments and your views. So originally when I had poured this album, it was going to be just kind of a piece of art, and I was going to put a mandala stencil on there and kind of turn it into just a little piece of art to put on a shelf. But since I hit the 20,000 subscribers, I thought this might be a great giveaway for you. So the cool thing is that I'm going to give away 3 different prizes. The clock will be one of those prizes. Another prize that I'm going to be giving away is a 32-ounce resin kit, and that is being sponsored by Counterculture DIY. I've talked a little bit about their resin in the past, but I have come to love their resin. In the past, I've really had issues with what I call a resin rash. I have used the Counterculture DIY resin multiple times. I used it to do a countertop in my studio, an 8-foot long butcher block countertop, and I didn't have one bit of problems with it. So I've used it multiple times now and not had any reactions from it. I always use a respirator, which obviously helps a lot, and I would recommend that you use respirator, rubber gloves. If you can have windows open while you're doing it, that's even better too. But I really love this resin. So they have sponsored a 32-ounce resin kit. The resin kit and the clock are only available for winners within the US, but I'm also doing a third prize, and that's a $20 Amazon gift card. So I'm able to send that internationally. So that gives everyone kind of an opportunity to win. And today what I'm going to do is kind of show you how to kind of finish off the clock itself. So I have my album here. This particular pour actually had silicone oil in it. So Counterculture had sent me their pouring system, and this is kind of a 2-part prelude, if you will, to the resin. So the first part is the art wash, and we're going to use that to wash the surface and get rid of the silicone that's on the surface of the paint. And then the second part is the quick coat. And we're going to put 2 coats of this on, and that's going to kind of seal it and get it ready for the resin so that we don't have any resisting. If any of you have done resin before, you know that sometimes if your surface is not completely clean, it will resist the resin, and then you get little pock marks in it. So I'm just going to spritz this on. The directions say to wait 30 to 60 seconds before you wipe it off. So we're going to count 1, 2, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to count to you. So we'll let that sit there for a minute. I am going to put the contest on Gleam. So there will be several different ways for you to enter. The contact information for that will be in the description of this video, so that you can check that out and find out how you can enter into the contest for the giveaway. And I think that's probably about long enough. I'm going to pick this up so I can kind of see it a little bit better and just wipe the surface off. And don't be alarmed by my hands, holy cow. Don't be alarmed if you get a little bit of color off. That always happens whenever you wash the surface after it's been painted. And this has been sitting for, gosh, probably a couple weeks. And I'm going to do this one more time as the directions say. So just spritzing this on. It does also say that you should wear a respirator, but I'm kind of being naughty because I'm talking to you, so it would be kind of impossible for me to wear a respirator right now. So I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for just a little bit here and let it work its little magic, and then we'll wipe that off, and then that'll be 2 times that we have cleaned it, and that should have gotten rid of all of the oil off of the surface of the album. This actually turned out to be a really super pretty pour. I love how it turned out. I did get some really neat cells out of it, and I also have glitter in the mix with it. So you know how I love my glitter. Okay, so I have this little plastic tray, and then this is the quick coat. It says to apply it with a foam brush or a soft bristle brush. And it says that you can apply 2 coats. I'm gonna pour a little bit more on there. This again, you're supposed to wear a respirator. So again, being kind of naughty, I have a little paintbrush here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this onto the surface. It also says in the instructions that you can use a heat gun to speed up the process, which I think is really cool because sometimes I'm kind of impatient when it comes to that stuff. So I am just making sure that I have a nice coat on the entire surface here. And it looks like it's applying. I would think that if the surface was not clean, it would be resisting, and I don't see it resisting anywhere. And there we go. So there's one coat. And we're gonna let that dry, and then I'll pop back on in just a second when that's dry. Okay guys, I have added the second coat of the quick coat to the album, and I did use my hairdryer just to kind of speed up the process because it's a little bit humid today. I have the window open now just for some fresh air and just to kind of dissipate any fumes that there might be. This is a shiny product, so it's kind of hard to tell. You kind of have to like touch it gently to make sure that it's dry enough. I have this little template that I made. It's just a square that I folded into fourths and then cut out the little diamond in the center. And I use this to line it up my numbers. So I did drill a hole right here so that I could line this up. So I kind of feel like this is a nice way for it to be up on someone's wall. So I'm just gonna line up my little square here with my little hole that I have. And then what that does is kind of tell me where I need to put my numbers. So my 1 and 2, 3, 6, and 9 will go right there. And today I'm using, this is a Sizzix die. It's a Tim Holtz die called Block Talk. I took my silver glitter paper and I applied the Stick It to the back side, which is it's kind of a adhesive, if you will, for die cutting. In the past, I've used glue to try to glue my numbers down, and I find that sometimes it kind of leaves, I can't get them stuck down all the way around, and I feel like I get a lot of air bubbles in the resin around the numbers. So I thought I would give that a go and see if the adhesive helps. What I do when I'm laying out my numbers is I kind of line them up. I don't stick them down yet. I kind of place them where I want them to be before I actually mash them down onto the surface. Because right now I'm still able to kind of move them around if I don't mash them down in. And what I'm gonna do is make sure that this is all nice and pretty, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next step, so hold tight. Okay everybody, I'm back and I've adhered the numbers down to the clock. I've also mixed up my resin, and I'm using the Counterculture DIY resin today. This resin is heat safe up to 500 degrees, so I love to use it on my coasters and my trivets. I also put it on my Lazy Susans, but the nice thing about it is that it can be used on your artwork as well. So you don't have to have several different kinds or types of resin on hand in order to be able to do something that's heat resistant or art safe. And I can offer you a coupon code today. If you use the code KRISS, K-R-I-S-S, they will give you a $5 coupon towards a $40 purchase. So that's a pretty awesome little deal, right? Okay, so I've got the clock all ready to go. I have my resin all mixed up. I mixed up about 8 ounces of resin. Normally when I'm doing this, I am definitely wearing my respirator, but as I said, I can't talk to you and do this at the same time. So we're gonna do this real quick since I'm not wearing since I'm not wearing a respirator. And I like to use a popsicle stick to kind of help spread it. So I'm just gonna start by pouring it onto the surface. As I said, I mixed up about 8 ounces of resin, which should be plenty for this project. But I always make sure that I have like a coaster or a trivet on hand so that if I do have extra, I have somewhere to use that resin because I don't like to waste it. Resin is very expensive. In fact, any art supply is very expensive. So I try to make sure that I always have different backups to use things on so that if I don't use everything that I have mixed up, I have another project in mind for it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spread this out to the edge. And you could see that there's some air bubbles in there. Those will dissipate some. They've already dissipated in the cup from me mixing it. And then I'm also going to use a torch to kind of help finish it off. I want to make sure that this isn't super thick. I did not tape the back of the album. So generally what I do when I'm resining items like this is I just kind of babysit it for a little bit and make sure that I'm just kind of scraping my any resin drips that I have over the edge off of the bottom surface. And right now I'm just kind of making sure that my surface is pretty level for resin. And I kind of feel like I'm a little bit thicker in some spots and not quite as thick in others. So my biggest challenge, I think, for resin is just to make sure that the entire surface is covered. And it's kind of difficult to tell once you get the resin on there if everything is perfect. So sometimes I just kind of get down at eye level, and I can see over here on this edge I don't have quite enough. So I'm just going to go back and scoop a little bit out of my cup. And then I'll get down at eye level just to make sure that I have everything coated nice and thick. So the resin is kind of what makes everything pop. It seals in the numbers and makes everything all beautiful again. It makes it look wet again. So I'm gonna go ahead and torch this real quick and get rid of any little bubbles that I have on the surface. Again, when you're using a torch, be careful because this is a vinyl album underneath. So you wanna be very careful with the torch. And it just takes a quick pass to get rid of those bubbles. All right, guys, so we've got the resin on the clock surface. This will sit for about 24 hours. I will watch it and come back and check on it again just to make sure that I don't get bubbles. I can kind of see a few little bubbles over here on the 9, which could possibly be because I didn't heat it well enough when I did pass it over with the torch. But I will watch this and torch it probably one more time just to make sure that everything is really beautiful. In 24 hours, I will come back and put the clock mechanism on it. I will not put the hands on it since I'm shipping this to a lucky winner, as well as the video where I poured this album in case you'd like to watch that as well. There will also be a link for Counterculture DIY in case you're interested in shopping their products. Make sure that you use that coupon code. On September 1st, I will choose 3 lucky winners. Once again, we have the clock that will be finished by that time. Will be one prize, a $20 gift card to Amazon, as well as the 32-ounce resin kit from Counterculture DIY. If we find that someone wins internationally on something that can't be shipped, then we will figure out a plan from there. So on September 1, I will draw the winners. Please make sure you check back to this post on September 1st to see if you are a winner. You will have 3 days. You will have 3 days to claim your prize. If you do not claim your prize by September 4th, I will draw new winners. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. If you have not already subscribed, please make sure you do so. Ring the bell for notifications, and I'd appreciate it if you hit like and leave me a comment as to where you're from. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.